Good morning, guys. We are yet on another road trip, this time a mini one to the state of Kedah. So we are actually on top of a mountain called Gunung Jerai, right? And why are we here? Well, John, was it really hot in Penang last night?
Yeah, super hot the past few days.
Yep, so it was 32 degrees at 11 p.m. at night last night. So we're like, no.
Yeah, and it feels like 37, 38.
Yep,
Crazy.
that's right.
Yeah.
So we ran away again. So now we are on a little mini road trip. It's just a day trip to Gunung Jerai, where it's very nice. It's 10:30 in the morning and the breeze is very cooling. The air is very nice and chill, and the environment is very relaxed.
We are Frantic and John, the corporate breakout couple. If you've been following us for a while, you know that we've been traveling heavily for the last 1.5 years.
In today's video, we'd like to share with you a different perspective on how we travel nowadays as an early retired couple. You know, traveling is a very experiential experience. You gotta do it, you gotta immerse yourself in it to really fully understand the entire thing, right? And when we were in corporate, we traveled a certain way. And now that we are retired, we also travel a certain way. And in this video, we'd like to share with you what the experience is like.
First, let's break down why people travel in the first place. You know, travel holds different meaning for different people and different groups of people. For example, there's one group, there's the family group, right? Family of 4 or 5. The way they travel, their itinerary will look very differently from people like, let's say, like us and a couple who's very mobile, where we'll probably go around to focus on sightseeing, exploring new places, you know. And then you have your solo travelers who is also very different, right?
Very
you are
adventurous.
super mobile. Yes, exactly. And they like to meet new people, perhaps. And of course, a big group of people that many of us fall into are the corporate folks, you know, who've been working and need a recharge and just need to take a holiday and a break.
Yeah, and they call it a getaway. So, you know, I remember back when I was in corporate, my holidays had to be planned around my work, because a big chunk of my corporate career in Singapore was in the training industry, right? So we had trainings, and of course our calendar, our yearly calendar is packed full with trainings. So my holidays had to be planned around the training. So I even remember, John, do you remember our trip to Maldives, where you also asked me for my schedule and you planned? So it was a surprise trip to Maldives. I think it was for my birthday, and he actually asked for my training schedule. I'm like, what do you need my training schedule for? And I didn't know that he was actually planning my surprise birthday trip to Maldives and he needed my training schedule.
Yeah, and for me, actually riding on to the Maldives holiday, right? My disruption wasn't about rescheduling or making sure we have a window of schedule of opportunities to go. For me, it was because I was in sales. When I was in Maldives, the first 3 days of our 7 days, I was so heavily disrupted by sales calls, by emails that are urgent, or like internal folks asking me for something. It wasn't, you know, the most pleasant of holidays, especially for the first few days.
So the difficulty between the two of us is that he had to find a time that where I can go, where I wasn't physically needed in Singapore, but that kind of coincided with one of his major tenders, right, for his job. So we both had to make it work that way.
Yeah. So guess what? That's actually a very major, or rather a very common occurrence for both of us, right? Imagine we are two different corporate folks with two different companies, two different type of roles.
Yep.
So our schedule is very different. So in order to even just match it, right, and you know, so that we can find the best window where we are not busy, which is, well, actually not possible. So many a times we find that when we travel, we are not really free of work, you know, on whether it's you know, free from it, from thinking about something, or physically, even though we are not disrupted by people calling us.
Yep. Another thing, of course, is then I also remember that before I can leave for my holiday, right, it's always a 1 to 2 week mad rush, right, to get all the stuff done, to make sure that you've got somebody to hand over your work to, make sure that, you know, you set your out of office emails and whatnot, right? So it's always a mad rush, and I always leave my packing to the very last minute. Like, it could be the last few hours before we are due to the airport. It's always a rush.
Does all this sound familiar to you? Can you relate to any of these?
Let us know in the comments below.
Yes.
So what's the difference now that we are retired? Well, it's pretty simple. We just pick a destination, we look at the dates, right? And then we send Snuffy for boarding, and then we pack our bags and we go.
Another key difference is the way we plan our trips is opposite of what the majority of people do. For example, we will plan for all the off-peak seasons. Of course, we'll get better rates and we have more availability as well. And we also travel on weekdays, we don't travel on weekends. You know, that helps a lot also in terms of the human traffic, in terms of like for our road trips, being on the road and all that.
Yep, so we leave on a weekday and we come back on a weekday.
You know, and I must say the experience is totally different because I mean we are like on a trip, right? We're on a holiday, right? So it's very relaxing because you don't feel there's this human traffic, there's human crowd everywhere you go. Like even today, if you can, okay, the behind us is the cafe and it's like 90% empty. So it's very comfortable, it's very relaxing, even though it's like midday, 10, 11 something in the day.
Yeah, and I think the best part is the stress and the pressure of fighting the crowds, making sure that you have the best seats, making sure that, for example, if you're in a restaurant, that the food doesn't run out, right? All that stress is actually gone, yeah, on a weekday especially. What about the mental health and the mental stress, either when you're preparing to travel or when you're traveling? So for us nowadays, let's say our flight or our trip is tomorrow, the night before we are still watching Netflix because all our bags are packed, we're spending time with Snuffy before we send him over to the borders, and we're spending time with our family, we're having our last meal before our vacation with them, spending quality time. And it's very different than in the past, because I remember I was very, very stressed, and I know I would be going to the airport anxious, I'll be going to the airport, still thinking about work, and I can only relax somewhat when the plane takes off, right? Because I know that no one can touch me then when I'm on the flight.
And no emails.
Yep, that's right. And then of course when we land, I still remember when we were in Italy, the moment we landed and checked in, we dumped our bags and we went on a food tour.
Yeah, and then it's like go, 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 go. It's it's a mad rush with the itinerary because like Singaporean Malaysians, right? We like to maximize our time there, and what happens is we spend very little time in the expensive hotels that we booked.
Yep. So when we were in Seoul just a few months back, that experience was totally different because Seoul for me was new, just like when my Italian trip was also new to me, right? So for Seoul, I still remember we checked in our Airbnb and we literally took our time. Like the first day that we arrived, we literally didn't do anything. We just checked in, looked around the neighborhood, walked around, had some food, and then we went to bed, right? Because we had like 2 weeks there, so we had lots of time. So that the traveling experience is very much different than when we were on a time crunch. Another key difference of traveling nowadays for us is I noticed back in the past, I wanted to really just go and visit all the hot spots. Like for example, when we were in Santorini, we wanted to go and see, the sunset, catch this, catch that, catch the place, go and eat this good food, eat that food, and it's just a go, 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 right? And for now, it's a little bit different. It's more chill, relaxed, and there's another intention behind that.
Yeah, it's very purposeful for us now because now we have this YouTube channel, right? So it works both ways. Of course, we are creating these videos for you, and we like to see in your perspective how a video like this can really add value to you. But on our side, we also really learn a lot because before we go to the place, we actually do some level of research, around the cost, around where do people stay, how is the economy of the country. So when we're actually there on the ground, we're actively looking out for things, things that we notice about people, their spending habits, what do people spend on. Like for example, in Korea, right, a lot of Koreans like to spend on healthcare, or rather, what do you call it? Skincare, yeah, skincare, cosmetic products and all that. So you can roughly tell, the kind of money that they spend over there.
Right. So like for example, if you ask me, how's my Italian trip? Because I love Italy, right? I really love it. And we spent about, I think 10, 12 days there. But I really cannot tell you how the locals live, right? I cannot tell you, like I know the culture a little bit, but can I deep dive into, what the Italians like, what the Italians don't like, what is their real culture? I can't tell you any of that because I only went to mostly the tourist places, and I saw Italy through the eyes of a tourist. I didn't bother to put myself in the shoes of a local and really live like a local. So one day we want to go back to Italy and really live life like a local. Exactly.
Yeah.
The whole reason we made this video is kind of put a thought into your heads, which is before you travel, kind of ask yourself, what's the purpose for your travel? For example, if it's a getaway travel, then maybe you want to just, book yourself somewhere nice where you stay in and really just unwind, relax, and depressurize, right? Don't go and be crazy and book like yourself. All your days are back to back with like tours and stuff like that. And by the time you get back from your trip, you tell yourself, oh man, that was tiring. I need another trip to relax. Kind of wasting money and kind of defeats the purpose of your original trip, isn't it?
Yeah, really. It's really what you want to get out of the trip. So it's very good to have a think about that before you actually go for it. I mean, apart from all the planning and all that, because for example, if you're a family with kids, right, you know that the kids, or let's say you bring an elderly parent, you know the pace of the travel will be different. So you want to cater your travel around that, right? Instead of telling yourself, oh, you know, I only get to fly to this place once in my life, because you know, guess what? If you have been there once, you can get to see it. You can always make another trip back to explore other places. So there's actually no rush for that.
Yes, so if it's a family trip, to expound on that, then make it really a family trip, you know, where you really spend quality time together, and not just, you know, either taking photos for the Instagram or making YouTube videos, you know, or it's really about the family, and make sure that it's a memorable one. Well, we hope that this video has given you some food for thought before you plan your next travel. And that's it from us, Fran and John, for a Corporate Breakout couple. Please like and subscribe to our YouTube channel, and we'll see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.
Bye. If you are interested in breaking out of the corporate 9-to-5 rat race or embark on your early retirement journey, do check out our Breakout Academy, where we'll support you further on your goals.